veterans share what infuriates them most about military movies. In a filmmakers versus veterans truth skirmish, Hollywood would lose mightily, at least according to current and former military personnel. Military conflicts and the men and women who fight in them are a favorite subject of movie makers, but Hollywood doesn't always get the facts right, messing up or misrepresenting basic training, uniforms, the lingo, the salutes, and sniper technique, among many other aspects of military life. The total misuse of over and out. If for any reason you hear anyone talking on the radio and saying over and out, it's either over, which means the conversation is ongoing awaiting a response, or out, which means the sender has ended the conversation. Every time I see a halfway decent movie, it's ruined when they can't even follow proper military radio procedures. Simple but stupid mistake. Saying over and out, you're telling someone to respond, but the conversation is over. They contradict each other. Ignoring that the Middle East actually has paved roads. Movies dealing with current conflicts. Hollywood. There are, in fact, paved roads in the Middle East. There are also trees, urban areas, and water. It also gets surprisingly cold in Iraq. Combat noise that is far too quiet. Firearms are loud. Very, very loud. Like damaging your hearing. Make deaf loud. You cannot talk normally during or immediately after shooting. In Iraq, my most vivid memory of my first firefight was how loud it was. It was really painful, actually. M4S, M249S, and a M240B shooting lots of rounds all around me. I literally thought my ears were bleeding and was effectively deaf afterward. The chopper chats. Talking on a helicopter without a headset is pointless. The casual conversations on helicopters. Whole mission briefings on the helicopter right before they land. Any talking on a helicopter without a headset. Helicopters are loud. I crew UH-60s for the army, and I have to wear 2 sets of hearing protection at all times while the aircraft is operating. On the occasions where I need to talk to a passenger or someone not on a headset, I have to literally scream right into their ear from point blank range, and they still barely hear me. So the calm and quiet conversations I see in movies all the time really ruin my immersion. Making military personnel hotshots instead of average people. I hate that the military is kind of a catch-all backstory for any character that is supposed to be a badass. Like, some guy spends a few years in the military and then gets out and goes back to his hometown. And he has all the training he needs to single-handedly take on his town's army of drug dealers, corrupt cops, whatever. I'm sure there are some special forces types that might fit that profile. But most of us get out of the military and we're really good at, like, PowerPoint and stuff. The vast majority of the military is made up of just regular people who went to boot camp. They might be able to knock out a few more push-ups than the average civilian. But most of us spend an average day in the military looking at screens or driving trucks or filling out paperwork, like everyone else. When actors playing young military personnel are way too old, lower enlisted are predominantly young as heck looking. I just want to see one movie that has soldiers ages 18 to 21 who actually look like what they are representing. Snipers who point their barrels out windows. Snipers don't stick the barrel out the damn window. Hollywood does it so they can see and film them in a dramatic fashion. Exactly the opposite thing you want in actual combat. Enemies portrayed as evil, faceless morons rather than human beings. Military movies tend to either portray soldiers as perfect heroes who never do wrong, or broken savages. We all try to do right, but sometimes we do wrong. It's never black and white. Also, the enemy is not some evil faceless army of morons as many films portray, and we are not invincible. So many movies just make the enemy out to be completely incompetent, which just isn't the case. Sometimes, we mess up just as bad as they do. Also, the enemy isn't just an enemy, they are humans too. They are also fighting for what they believe to be right and can show just as much bravery barbarity as we do. They are not faceless villains. Soldiers who walk around with their finger on a trigger. I never had my finger on the trigger unless I intended to fire. So when I see soldiers in movies just casually walking with their fingers on the trigger, it just makes me wince. The idea that everyone in the military is from a small town. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Not everyone in the army comes from a small town no one's ever heard of. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of dudes like that. But there's also plenty of people from New York, Baltimore, Cleveland, Dallas, Los Angeles, Boston, Miami, Chicago. I mean, not all of us are pickup driving, tobacco chewing rednecks engaged to our high school sweetheart. Hell, my company had guys from at least 4 or 5 different countries. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to smash the like button, share, and comment. Go ahead and subscribe to Best List Ever. See you again soon.